Namaste, greetings and blessings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. This is our Sunday message, and I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founder and spiritual director of this center. And I invite you to watch not only this Sunday message, but any of our archived messages. I invite you to join any classes or events that we have going on. I invite you to reach out and email if you have any questions. Questions about this community, questions about me, questions about what we do, or questions about this science of mind and spirit, liberation theology that we practice and teach. And if by chance you find yourself seeking beloved community with other like-minded beings, even if you already belong, are a member of another community, church, or center, you are more than free to have multiple affiliations wherever you are fed and find community. You are invited. And lastly, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share this or any other message or announcements with others in your circle. And with that, much appreciation, love, and blessings. Enjoy the message. Namaste and greetings. Soaring in love. Before we begin, let me warn you now, you might want to buckle up because we're going to shake a couple of things up. Click, 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 click. Are you ready? Love is an omnipresent force that flows through and as all of life. Therefore, it cannot be limited to simply fleeting moments of passion, sentimentality, or dramatic gestures. In Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0, we understand that love, quote unquote, expands when we engage in loving ourselves and others by how we tap into the boundless stream of love that surrounds us and shows up as us. True love, as Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, it carries respect and involves not only what we receive, but what we give. It is rooted in compassion, kindness, and a willingness to share both our joys and our challenges. By being present and fully engaged, we transform love from an ideal or an idea into a lived reality. It allows us to soar beyond any limitations and any experiences so that we may embody greater height and greater depth, greater fulfillment and enlightenment. Love as presence shows up in our lives. How? Love as compassion shows up when we do what? Love as kindness shows up for whom? In what way? Love as engagement means what exactly? How are we invited to soar in love, soar as love via presence, compassion, kindness, engagement? Now, the word omnipresent, etymology, simply means present everywhere. Okay. Present everywhere. Okay. The term describes something that exists or is present in all places at the same time. Yes, and this is why I only use the term in, such as we are in the mind of God or God within us or whatever, for linguistic convenience, because how can we be in the mind of God when that also implies that there is that which can exist outside of the mind of God? If it's all there is, then there is no out. It simply is. So love is an omnipresent force. Love is omnipresence itself. Love flows in, through, and as us and all of life because it is life. It doesn't expand. That's linguistic convenience. Love simply is. We say surrounds us, linguistic convenience, because there isn't any surrounding. It simply is. So how do we, one, differentiate between our linguistic convenience, which is fine as long as we're clear, and two, our active embodiment of this realization? For example, using an analogy, water is made of a particular molecular combination of H2O, which flows through all water, whether the water is a solid, a liquid, or a gas. Water expands, its presence is recognized when we engage in activities such as drinking. bathing, washing dishes or clothes, or using it in other capacities. H2O surrounds us and is within us and is a major part of our body's functioning. See, we can understand it when it comes to this water. But when it comes to love, we got some difficulties. Why is this? Because of how we compartmentalize the divine. We have been trained how to separate and segregate such concepts, even though practical science and chemistry, biology is a very clear demonstration of that which the divine is, just using different words, different concepts, but it's the same thing. As Ram Dass invites us, be here now, in this present moment, present with this body, this breath, these thoughts. Because when we are here now, then we are at the point of power. This is where we love. We can't love yesterday, today. And I know that there are some practices that refer to things like, Reiki, sending Reiki to your past, a past version of yourself. Yeah, I got that. That's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about right now actively expressing love. It happens here, it happens now. Listening to someone else happens here, happens now. If I was spending time with Tracy yesterday and Tracy was talking and I wasn't listening, I can't choose to listen to what Tracy was saying yesterday, today. I can only listen to Tracy today. I can reflect on what she was saying or what I think she was saying because I wasn't listening, but I can't listen now to what is not occurring now. Be here now. When we embody love as presence, this means that we become and are deeply connected by being actively engaged with another person, both physically, I don't know why it's both, but both physically, intellectually, energetically, spiritually, and emotionally. And this must include actively listening and creating a space where all feel acknowledged, honored, respected, and valued. That's when we embody love as presence. Now, you're probably wondering, why is there an asterisk beside person? Simply because it doesn't have to be a person. It can be love as presence with a pet, with a tree, with a cup of tea, because all of those are also expressions of God. If I were to ask you, theos, what does this word mean to you? Just in general, don't look it up, don't ask Siri, don't call Google. Just from your mind right now, fierce means what? Having or displaying an intense or ferocious aggressiveness related to the weather, something that is powerful and destructive, showing a heartfelt and powerful intensity, fashionable or attractive in a bold and striking way. Yes, and we're going to sort of take those last two and expand on them a smidge more, because that ain't all that's fierce. Teach them kids, Rue. Ready? Are you ready? Are you sure? Okay. The library is open. Grab your book, have a sit down, and let us begin. Are you ready? Fierce, from the Drag Dictionary, says stunning individuals get over here. Fierce is a very positive, life affirming, and cheering term for exceptionally stylish and or impressive drag queens who attract attention. It can also be used to outline an appearance, characteristic, or an action. Fierce is a very life affirming and cheering term. How fierce, keep this in mind, how fierce are you in terms of the love that you embody, that you express? Yes, and I'm specifically referencing the term fierce love from the book by Reverend Dr. Jackie Lewis, who says, love is the call on our lives, and it's a fierce call, a fierce love. If we could speak more about that, we could build a revolution that included people of faith and people of no faith. Fierce love. In an interview Reverend Dr. Jackie had with Cassidy Hall, the conversation goes, yeah, thank you, Cassidy. Honestly, I've been working on this book for 9 years. It came to me the other day that it's been a 9-year gestation and then a 9-year write, and 9 months, I'm sorry. 9 years to gestate with 9 months to write. My first questions were, I think as an African American woman living in this country and just watching the Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, Sandra Bland, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, that whole trajectory of not new behaviors, but the ability to see Freddie Gray encounter. She's speaking to this idea that we see such things as police brutality, police sanctioned unaliving of people. We see great heinous acts of racism and hate crimes and such. And this book, Fierce Love, is how she chooses to counter such hatred. To see just right, the seeing of it just. I think traumatized so many of us, and my brain is always connecting dots. So it's like the violence here that's around race is the same kind of violence in Palestine, Israel, around religion and ethnicity, the same kind of violence in Ethiopia. All of these things are connected to something that they were also to something and that they were also based on religion. Just broke my heart wide open. How does religion, which we litigate to bind us together, to connect us, how does religion become such a weapon, causing you to know other things? So I started asking, what would it look like to have a grown-up God, a grown-up faith, and a grown-up God? And I did a lot of writing as it pertains to that. I went down that path. And what I realized was that my ambition was beyond God to love. Like, if you're not religious, can you do love? If you are agnostic, can you do love? No matter what your faith, no matter what it is, can we talk about love as the ground of our being? Not namby-pamby love, not codependent love, not love songs, not rom-com kind of love. Like really the kind of love that made Harriet Tubman go back and fourth, to free people. The kind of love that made Frederick Douglass a liberator, that made abolition movements happen in the first place. The kind of love that made those South African women sit in the street. The kind of love that made Jonathan jump in front of Ruby's sails and save her life. This is a fierce love, right? It's courageous love. It's bold love. It's risk-taking love. And I think it's at the heart of all the world's major religions. And that's what I want to convert people to: love. Fierce love as a way to order our lives. I'm convinced that this fierce call to love and Ubuntu, this Zulu concept, I am who I am because you are who you are. We are what we are because of each other. Almost like that's our natural religion. And we know that. We crawled out of the cave knowing that we had to make a fire together. We had to raise the kids together. We had to hunt and gather together. We had to stand for our tribe together. So we increase our tribe. So can we increase our tribe? Can we increase our feeling of connection? Can we understand that it is not just my kin, but that you're my kin, we're all kin? That's the key to a kind of solidarity that can truly make a difference. Breathe. Now, what she's referring to, in essence, is the idea that Isabel Wilkerson addresses in her book, Caste. Caste is addressing all of those ills, the systemic ills, why and wherefore thou they come from, all of the insidious subliminal places that they exist. And Reverend Lewis is talking about how do we overcome it. So we have to ask the serious questions. What is the consciousness that created and perpetuates the caste? What is the consciousness that will heal and eradicate it? Is it fierce love? If so, what does it look like? What are the spiritual practices that will facilitate the healing? What is the role of science of mind and spirit in this healing process? Because if we're not going to have a conversation about it, then what are we doing? Now, those of you who follow me on social media know that for the month of July, I was alternating between two books. One, the Caste book, and the other one, can't think of the name right now, but it's about being an abolitionist in today's culture and society. And so I was sharing various portions of the books. And so these two are portions of the book that I shared. In chapter 4, Isabel Wilkerson says, whipping was a gateway form of violence that led to bizarrely creative levels of sadism, wrote the historian Edward Baptiste. Enslavers used every modern method of torture, from mutilation to waterboarding. The vast majority of African Americans who lived in this land in the first 246 years of what we now know as the United States, these people lived under the terror of people who had absolute power over their bodies and their very breath, subject to people who faced no sanctions for any atrocities that they could conjure. They suffered no sanctions, no punishment, no repercussions for the harms that they caused. And this is why, because the caste system still exists, Racism still exists. So, how are we addressing these things to create a world that works for all? How do we heal what we will not acknowledge? How do we create a world that works for all if we will not address the dis-ease that still to this day festers in the collective consciousness? That is the point. We can't and we won't until we do. We cannot heal it until we name it and call it for what it is and address it accordingly. We can't. So, along those lines, Brene Brown reminds us to love someone fiercely, to believe in something with your whole heart, to celebrate a fleeting moment in time, to fully engage in a life that doesn't come with guarantees. These are the risks that involve vulnerability and often pain. But I'm learning that recognizing and leaning into the discomfort of vulnerability teaches us how to live with joy, gratitude, and grace. When we are together, we are not just stronger, we are invincible. Ubuntu. I am because we are. Breathe. So, in this conversation between Reverend Dr. Jackie and Cassidy Hall, Cassidy says, yeah, and in that way, do you see, I mean, this fierce love? You know, while it's a returning and uncovering to the truth of who we are into what we already know, what's in us, do you also see it in a way that it's kind of cultural in some aspects? Now, do you also see it as a form of activism? Absolutely. I think this fierce love, this news story is activism and can see proof of that. We all watched in horror as George Floyd was murdered, and that critical mass of people around the globe spawned it because we understood that George's death is our death. His baby's grief is our grief. And we also understood that we weren't going to get to the promised land of a peaceful nation without each other. So is it perhaps evolution? Maybe. In the human spirit, to lean back into what we knew as infants, that we need each other. We need somebody to raise a world together, a world that works for all. Fierce love is transformative. It is the power of alchemy that transmutes the baser elements of consciousness, such as hate, non life affirming fear, the scars and pains of unhealed trauma, regret, shame, and guilt, and transforms them into more life affirming elemental powers that heal, restore, offer true grace and forgiveness, foster peacefulness and unity, and liberates bodies, minds, hearts, and souls. Fierce love. Keep that in mind. So the question becomes, are you loving fiercely? Or are you relegating love to that sentimentality, the performing of grand gestures on Valentine's Day and other such things? Or are you loving fiercely, as Dr. Jackie said earlier, like Harriet Tubman, I'm willing to go back and forth to set my people free? Loving fiercely means loving fully. That means there are no conditions. I love because I love. I don't love you because you lent me money. I don't love you because you didn't make fun of me when I messed up the spring rolls. I don't love you because my therapist said it's the right thing to do on a Tuesday afternoon. Loving fiercely means I love fully because that's what God is. Now, how does it show up? Well, when we think, are you familiar with Matthew 25? No? Okay. So in the Bible, in Matthew 25, there's a verse where Jesus and the disciples and folks, they're having a conversation. And loving fiercely, based on this conversation, loving fiercely is when Jesus said to them, come who are blessed, right? You inherit the kingdom prepared for you. Because I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you took care of me. I was in prison and you visited me. And the response from the disciples, as a result of that was like, huh? You said what now? But wait. Jesus, we got a question for you. Now, these are the righteous people asking this. Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you? When did we see you thirsty and gave you drink? When did we see you any of these things? You were a stranger, we took you in. You were naked, we gave you clothes. You were sick, we took care of you. You were in prison, we came to visit you. When did this stuff happen? Because we don't remember any of this stuff. To which Jesus says, oh, I got you. When you did it for any of these other people, you did it for me. When you took care of him, because he was sick, you took care of me. Ubuntu, I am because we are. So what you did for them, you did for me. What you did for her, you did for me. What you did for them, you did for me. What we do for one another, we do for all. Now, Jesus then flipped it to those who were the unrighteous and said, all of y'all, get away from me. You are cursed into the eternal fire prepared by the devil and his angels. Be gone with you before somebody drop a house on you. And they're like, what? Because Jesus goes through it again. Because I was hungry and you gave me nothing. I was thirsty, you gave me nothing. I was sick, you did nothing. I was naked, you did nothing. I was in prison and you did nothing. You did nothing for me. And they had the same question. Whoa. When did we see you hungry, thirsty? When? To which Jesus replied, well, yet again, when you didn't help them, you didn't help me. When you didn't help her, you didn't help me. When you didn't help him, you didn't help me. So be gone with you. Get away from me. I ain't got time for you right now. Change your ways. So what are we to derive from this? That loving fiercely means we love truly, as Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us. This love carries respect, right? All the things we said at the beginning, being present, being fully engaged. It's a transformative love. So if we desire a world that works for all, then we're going to have to love fiercely. Because sentimental love hasn't get we've already had eons of sentimental love, and we still have war. We've had grand gestures of love, and we still have hate crimes. We still have serial killers. We still have heinous acts of. We still have. So that version of love, it's not sufficient enough to transform the world to the vision that we hold of a world that works for all. So if that's what we want, then loving fiercely is the way. A world that works for all requires us to love fiercely, which includes being vulnerable, being present, being compassionate, being kind, being engaged. In a world that works for all, is a world where we give and receive. It is rooted in compassion and kindness, care, or caring support, connection throughout all of our life's experiences. It is being present and fully engaged in all of the ways that we communicate and collaborate and cooperate with one another and all of nature. It is a world where we transform the collective consciousness, moving love from simply being an ideal or an idea into our collective lived reality. It is a world where we are encouraged and nurtured to soar with greater meaning, depth, and fulfillment in our lives and in our experiences. The most powerful thought is a thought that moves as action. The most powerful prayers are those that are demonstrated as our lives. My prayers for you are manifested in all of the ways I support, nurture, fiercely love, honor, and care about you. My prayers for you are how I give you something to drink when you are thirsty, clothe you when you are naked, care for you when you are sick, visit you when you are imprisoned, feed you when you are hungry, invite you in when you need shelter. My prayers for you are manifested in the ways that I show up in action that serve. Breathe. Thich Nhat Hanh offers us several mantras that help us to embody this loving compassion 24 hours every day. Darling, I am here for you. If you are fully present, this first mantra will produce a miracle. You become real. The person you say it to becomes real, and life becomes real in that moment. Be here now. You bring happiness to yourself and to the other person. This is the greatest gift you can offer your loved one. To love is to be there for them no matter what. The second mantra, I know you are there and I am very happy. When I look deeply at the moon, I breathe in and out deeply and say, full moon, I know you are there and I am very happy. I do the same when I see the morning star, walking among the beautiful spring magnolia trees in Korea. I looked at the beautiful flowers and said, I know you are there and I am very happy. To truly be present and know that the other is also there is a miracle. Whenever you are really there, you are able to recognize and appreciate the presence of the other. The full moon, the morning star, the magnolia flowers, the person or people you love the most. First, practice breathing in and breathing out mindfully to anchor, recover, and ground yourself to be here now. Then sit close to the one you love. And in that state of deep concentration, mindfulness, say the second mantra. Both you and the other person will be happy. You will be in a state of love, both at the same time. These mantras can be practiced in regular everyday life. To be a true lover, you have to practice mindful breathing in order to produce your true presence. Mantra 3. Darling, I know you are suffering. That is why I am here for you. If you are mindful, you will notice when your beloved is suffering, whoever the beloved may be. You sit close to them and say, I know you are suffering. That's why I am here for you. I know you are imprisoned. That's why I am here for you. I know you are hungry. That's why I am here for you. I know you are unhoused. That's why I am here for you. That alone will bring a lot of relief. And the fourth mantra, you can practice when you yourself suffer. Darling, I am suffering. Please help. I am hungry. I am thirsty. I am grieving. I am afraid. Please help. Only 6 words, but sometimes they are difficult to say because of the pride in our hearts, especially if it was the person we love who we believe caused us to suffer. In true love, there is no place for pride. And we are referring to non-life affirming pride, which is arrogance, hubris, vanity, and the resistance to being vulnerable, non-life affirming fear. In true love, you attain freedom. So living fully means loving fully as presence, compassion, kindness, and engagement. Are you ready to live fully and to love fully, fiercely? Human conduct is ever unreliable until humans are anchored in the divine. And not even just in, anchored as the divine. Are we anchored as the divine? Breathe. The science of mind and spirit gives us the means to take flight and soar in our lives by liberating us from suffering as much as we can. Pain, grief, sorrow are inevitable in life. However, when we know who and what we are better able to alleviate, to eliminate the causes of suffering. Knowing that we are not free until all are free, we embody this teaching with such fierceness that we love, support, serve, help, nurture, and heal all that we come in contact with. Anchored not only in the divine, but as the divine. Our presence is prayer. Our greeting is our amen. Our gaze is a blessing. Science of mind and spirit is our blueprint for transforming the world. Breathe. Breathe. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I will say it first. If it resonates with you, I invite you to repeat it with me the second time. All life, which means my life, soars in, with, and as fierce love today and every day. Together. All life, which means my life, soars in, with, and as fierce love today and every day. So it is. This week's Thursday night study group questions or your own personal journal questions. Number one, in what ways does love as presence, compassion, kindness, and engagement, in what ways do these things show up in my life? Number two, when am I fierce? What would it mean for me to love fiercely? Number three, when fierce love is applied to the caste system and all that it entails, what would happen? And what is my role in that process? Number four, who do I love fiercely? Do I love myself fiercely? What's the proof? Oh, did you just? Number five, that Matthew 25 verse, what does it invite me to be and to do? Number six, what do I feel when I apply the four mantras that were offered by Thich Nhat Hanh? Do I feel resistance? Do I feel uncomfortable? Do I feel vulnerable? And lastly, number seven, if someone looked at my life based on what they see, what would they assume that my amen is based upon the evidence? What would they say? What is my amen based on the evidence? Our practice. Are you ready? Have a conversation with someone about fierce love and how it can heal the world. Breathe. As we enter into that space of infinite awareness, the space of knowing who and what we are, the space of fierce love. Love is only that which the universe is can love. The universe loving itself fiercely in, through, and as each of us, all of us. Whether it's the magnolias that Thich Nhat Hanh spoke of, whether it's when I am playing with the neighbor's dogs, watching a movie, joking with Tracy, whether it's someone else taking their kids to a baseball game for them to play in the game, a science fair, whether it's showing up at work and cooking in the kitchen, managing new employees, whatever it may be, that which the universe is, as fierce love shows up in, through, and as me. Sitting at acupuncture, fierce love shows up in, through, and as me. In the commute to work, fierce love shows up in, through, and as me. While watching the news about something that ICE has done or is doing, fierce love shows up in, through, and as me. breathe. So in this space, I embody this truth that what I am is fierce love made manifest. And that shows up as presence, compassion, kindness, engagement, service. Shows up in and as all that I am and all that I do. My life is my amen, right here and right now. Breathe. And so it is. Blessings during the week. I will either see you at some time during the week or right here next Sunday. And just as a quick reminder, if you are able to or happen to be in the Las Vegas area, I invite you to come out there and visit the event that I will be speaking at and Rainika and I will be interpreting at, and come on out and join us. Other than that, loving and blessing you always and in all ways.